other thing to add onto the list of noises that I cannot control is the birds chirping outside my window right now. Very lovely, it's very, magical and whatnot, but it's not a good time for the birds to be like chirping. Hey, it's Mel, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, it's lovely to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about a conspiracy theory. To be honest, this conspiracy theory in particular is the one that got me interested in conspiracy theories. Today we're going to be looking at the Apollo 11 moon landing and the theory that it was all faked. Now, hearing that for the first time, it might seem crazy, but when you look at the evidence to back it up, it doesn't seem so crazy. And shit just ain't right with this one. I'm not even joking, I have a gut feeling like deep inside that this is wrong, like there's something off with it. This conspiracy theory has been around for a while, but it's always interested me. I have done a few other conspiracy theory videos on my channel, which I will link in the description box down below. I don't know why I find them so interesting, but I like hearing your guys' opinions on it. As always, feel free to leave a comment below. But with that being said, there's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Before we talk about the conspiracy theory itself, I'm first of all going to be giving you guys a little bit of background information. Apollo 11 was the space flight that first landed humans on the moon. The purpose of the Apollo 11 mission was to complete a national goal that was set by, at the time, the President John F. Kennedy, which was to perform a lunar landing on the moon and then return to Earth. The Apollo 11 mission occurred on the 16th of July 1969. With the spaceflight launching from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, also known as Kennedy Space Center, at 8:32 a.m. Commander Neil Armstrong and lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin would be the first two men to walk on the moon. During the mission of the moon landing, the men had taken rock samples, they had taken pictures, and even stuck the American flag in the moon. The whole thing was televised every day live by the BBC on a black and white screen. Back in those days, in the 60s, there was no such thing as a colour TV, everything was in black and white. The men landed on the moon on the 20th of July. Neil Armstrong walked on the moon and said his famous quote, which was, quote, "That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind," end quote. The rocket used for the mission was a Saturn V SA-506. The mission took 8 days. Now moving on to the conspiracy theory. The guy who invented this theory, his name is William Kaysing, and in 1976 he published a book called We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle. The theory goes that the US government, desperate in beating Russia and all the other countries of making it to the moon, actually faked the moon landing with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong with the help of NASA, acting out their mission on a film set. Even though America wanted to be the first ones to land on the moon, at the time they didn't quite have the technology to do that. Now let's look at the bits of evidence to support this theory, the first one being the American flag. When the flag was put into the moon, it was waving as if there was wind. But there's no air in the atmosphere, meaning there's no wind, so the flag should not be waving. But if you look at the original NASA 1969 footage of the moon landing, you can see the flag is waving. People think this was caused by an air conditioning unit that was above or a fan that was close by on set. Now moving on to the next bit of evidence, which is the stars. There is none, okay? Once again, this is very strange, considering that if you're out and about at night and you look up into the sky, you can see a bunch of stars. If you're on the moon, of all places, you should definitely be surrounded by thousands of stars. But if you look at the NASA footage of the moon landing, there is no fucking stars. It's just this black screen. And to me, that just looks like a black curtain. This next bit of evidence is very strange to me, and it's about the sea rock. In a picture of the moon landing, there was a perfectly engraved sea on a rock, which is very unlikely to be caused by a natural occurrence. Some people think that it was actually a prop, and the people on the set lettered these rocks to make sure that they were in the right places. Well, a set decorator must have forgotten to turn the rock upside down. Now let's take a look at the shadows. If you're on the moon, the sun is going to be hitting you directly, and this would make each shadow go a certain way. For example, right now I have a light in front of me which would make my shadows go behind me. But if I had 3 lights, one here, and one up here, it would make the shadows go everywhere. And that's exactly what is happening in the moon landing. The shadows were going all different ways, meaning that it's not coming from the sun, it's coming from stage lights all around covering the set. And this has been clarified in different photos of the original moon landing. All these photos and footage come from NASA, okay? In this picture, if you look closely into one of the astronauts' helmets, in the reflection you can see a stage light hanging above him. Coming from someone who is very interested in lighting and stage lights, you know, all type of photography equipment, I can tell you right now, that's a fucking old stage light. This image right here is what made me buy into this whole conspiracy theory. If anyone can explain that image to me rationally or debunk it in some way, let me know. Moving on, the next bit of evidence is the craft landing. When the craft landed on the moon, it landed perfectly, which is odd because scientists have said that if you land something on the moon, it's going to create dust and a huge crater, but there was nothing. It just looked like the craft landed on the moon perfectly. Like there was no destruction, there was nothing. The next thing is the crosshairs. Now, crosshairs are used as part of camera equipment. Now, the crosshairs are meant to be seen in front of objects, but there's certain pictures where you can see the crosshairs behind the object. Not to mention that the computers that were used to initiate Apollo 11 moon landing look really shitty, like they barely run. Some people even claim to see wires in the moon landing footage, which would suggest that they were on a film set. Bear in mind that CGI did not exist, so it's not like they could edit this shit out. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. All of this could be debunked in some way, probably, but seeing that image of a stage light hanging, you know, the reflection of it being seen in the astronaut's helmet, that image right there is creepy as fuck. So, can someone please explain that so I can sleep at night? Let me know what you think about this conspiracy theory in the comment section down below. I love talking about conspiracy theories. Feel free to support my channel, show it some love. Comment, subscribe, do what you want to. And yeah, I think that's all I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.